Are you a high achieving woman of color who has done everything right, checked every box, and still wakes up Monday morning feeling like you are already on empty? If that's you, this episode is for you. Stay with me. Greetings and welcome to the Elevated Flow Playbook. I'm your host, Coach Flo Elkins, the Black Rowing Queen. The Elevated Flow Playbook are solo series of the Elevated Flow podcast, where I spotlight elite and everyday female athletes of color, sharing how they elevate their game and their flow in sports, wellness, work, and life. During the Elevated Flow Playbook, the solo episodes, I go deep on into the tools, the frameworks, and the real talk that I use with clients to help them get healthy, get fit, get well on their own terms. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been rocking with me, you already know I'm going in. Today's episode is one that I've been building towards for a while now. I'm talking about my E.L.E.V.A.T.E framework, my personal coaching framework, the foundation of everything I do with clients who are serious about transforming their health, their mindset, and their way, and the way that they lead themselves. So stay with me through this entire episode because every single letter of this framework has something in it that was designed specifically for women like you. Now, before I get into the actual framework, E.L.E.V.A.T.E, it's an acronym, I want to share something that happened this past weekend that put everything that I'm about to teach you into sharper focus. I was in Oklahoma City competing in the Stars and Stripes Rowing Regatta, racing on the Oklahoma River with my teammates at the River Sport Boathouse District. It's a beautiful venue. It's actually a U.S. Olympic and Paralympic training site and where the 2020 Olympic Games are going to take place for rowing. So I want you to picture this: women and men out there in boats in the afternoon heat, temperatures in the mid 90s, muscles working, sweat dripping, wind blowing, the water moving beneath us, and our team actually placed in the top 3 in 9 races. Yes, DUC, top 3. And I actually brought home 2 medals in the 2 races that I participated in. Now, I don't tell you that to brag, although I'm not going to lie and act like I'm not really proud and excited about getting those medals. But because of what I was thinking about on the water, I thought that it related to how I work with the women that I work with. What I was thinking about was how much preparation it takes to perform at that level. How many early mornings, how many workouts when I didn't feel like it, how many times I had to regulate my breathing, trust my training, and tell myself I could do hard things. And this is only going to be a few minutes, and stay focused when my body was telling me to stop. Because for some reason, those meters seem like they're a lot longer when you're actually on the water than when you are practicing. So I kept thinking, this is exactly what my clients need. And I say this to the girls that I work with all the time. And it's not the racing, it's the framework behind the racing, the internal system that makes performance possible. That system has a name, and I call it E.L.E.V.A.T.E. Like I said, it's an acronym, E.L.E.V.A.T.E. Each letter stands for something in this framework that I developed. And today I'm going to walk you through every single letter. The E.L.E.V.A.T.E framework is my personal coaching method. I built it for women like you, high achieving, driven, accomplished by every external measure, and quietly running out of steam. Every letter stands for something, and every letter builds on the one before it. It's not a checklist, it's a system. And like a good rowing stroke, if one part breaks down, the whole thing falls apart. So let me walk you through it. The first E stands for exhale. Now, I know you might be thinking, exhale, that's it? That's the first step? Yes. And I need you to stay with me here because this is one of the most important thing that high achieving women skip entirely. And it's the reason everything else falls apart. The thing that is so powerful about exhaling is that it is truly the threshold between life and death. When you stop exhaling, you literally stop living. And I know we've all seen movies when someone is injured or having a panic attack and people are trying to help them. What's the first thing that they always say to the person? Breathe. Exactly. And even though breathing is involuntary, sometimes we can experience air starvation when we're having a panic attack or your body goes into the fight, flight, or flee state. Just like in rowing, before you take your first stroke, before you push off the dock, before you set your blade in the water, you have to get still. You have to find your set. You have to breathe. If you rush past that moment, your whole race is compromised before it begins. And that's with any activity that you do. And life is the same way. Exhale is not just about breathing. It's about releasing the pressure you have been holding, the pressure to perform, the pressure to be everything to everybody, the pressure to keep going, even when your body and your nervous system have been screaming at you to stop. Sometimes you just have to tell yourself, and I've had to tell myself, Flo, just stop. Try it right now. Tell yourself, just stop. You cannot build a new life on top of a system that's already maxed out. Otherwise, it's going to be mad chaos. You have to exhale first. And here's what I want you to know. Exhale is the most layered step in this entire framework because just in the exhale letter alone lives an entirely second framework that I call breathe. And breathe stands for balance, regulate, energize, align, train, harmonize, and exhale. It's the deep work that lives inside this first step of the elevated framework. I'm going to dedicate a full episode to breathe because it really deserves its own space and teaching. But for today, I want you to receive the invitation. I invite you to give yourself permission to exhale, permission to put something down, permission to stop performing for 5 minutes and just be, permission to exist as a whole person and not just a productive one. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you exhaled completely? Not just a breath, an actual release where you weren't thinking about your to-do list, your kids, your job, your body, or what you should be doing instead of resting. If you can't remember this, that is your sign. You need to exhale and start now. All right. Moving on to the letter L, which stands for lead yourself. This is something I've said on many occasions. Self-leadership comes before team leadership every single time. You can be a director, a VP, a manager, or a CEO. You can lead hundreds of people at work, but if you cannot lead yourself to the gym, to the kitchen, to a bed, at a reasonable hour, or away from a habit that is slowly taking you down, none of those titles matter when it comes to your health. Now, in rowing, the coxswain is the person in the boat who steers and calls the race. She tells the crew when to push, when to breathe, when to move. She's the leader of the boat in that moment. But if she does not know the race plan, if she has not done the mental preparation, she will steer 8 people in the wrong direction, no matter how loud she yells or makes calls. You are the coxswain of your own life. You are the boss of your own life. I don't remember that movie where this line comes from. Someone says, like, you are not the boss of me. No one is truly the boss of you. Your person. You are the boss of you, so you need to start acting like it. Leading yourself sometimes means making the decision before the moment comes. It means knowing your race plan, your goals, your why, your North Star. What time are you going to work out? What are you going to eat this week? How are you protecting your sleep, your peace? What are you saying no to so that you can say yes to your health and stop feeling guilty about saying no? I love this term, no is a complete sentence. And trust me, just as I'm teaching you, I'm speaking to myself as well. Leadership is not about motivation. Motivation is temporary. It's fleeting. Self-leadership is about decisions, commitment, and habits. Decide what you're going to do. Commit to it. Then do it even when you don't feel like it until it becomes a habit. Now, what separates women who transform from the women who stay stuck are the women that allow excuses to distract you from your goals, from your North Star. That's for women that stay stuck. When they allow those distractions or allow things to distract them from their goals or their North Star. I love this other saying, excuses don't explain and explanations don't excuse. Stick with the decision you made and try to remember and go back to that feeling you had when you made it. It was important even then. So don't let distractions make you think it's not important now. And one of the characteristics that I believe that a good leader possesses is also the ability to follow. You may be a leader in the boardroom and in your household, but there may be times where you need to sit aside being the leader and follow, especially if it's in an area where you don't have control over it or you have not become an expert in it. So that may be when it comes to your nutrition or your fitness. And that may be a time when you get a mentor or hire a coach to lead you in that way. I know for myself, sometimes I get tired of leading. I want to be in a position where I'm following and I'm not having to think and make the decisions. And that's okay. And if I take it back to the regatta that I was in this past weekend, most of the other races that I've been in the front or technically the back of the boat, but in front of everybody leading and setting the pace. This time, which was the first time, I was actually in the back of the boat, or technically the front of the boat, but I was behind everybody. And it felt good to yes, I was working hard and pushing, but I didn't have to think about all of the 7 people behind me. I was actually the 8th person in the back, following everyone else. So there are times as good leaders where you need to take a step back and follow and be okay with that. All right, now on to the next one, which is the second E. And the second E in this framework stands for energize. Energize is not something you find, or energy is not something that you find. I've heard it said that I've heard people say, I need to find the energy to do this or that. Or, I need to get the energy to do whatever. Energy is something you build. It's like endurance. You got to work to build it. A lot of women I talk to have been running on borrowed energy for years. My cousins and I had this conversation this past weekend, and a lot of times it starts in college with people having to stay up to study for exams. And so they start drinking caffeine or energy drinks. They have that adrenaline, or they've been running on willpower or sheer stubbornness. Sound familiar? Some of you wouldn't know what to do without all of that at all. In nature, think about a river. A river does not run out of water because it's fed a source. There's a source that's feeding it, unless you're in California and there's a drought. But for the most part, a river does not run out of water because it's constantly being replenished. But if you have a dam up that river, if you block the flow, the water stagnates. It stops moving. It stops nourishing everything downstream of it. You are like that river. And when you stop replenishing yourself, everything downstream suffers. Your family, your work, your community, your body, and your body normally pays the price. Energize is about building sustainable fuel. That means movement that supports your body, not punishes it. I know I've worked with plenty of clients that have come to me from other trainers, and they say that they've been told like no pain, no gain. I don't necessarily subscribe to that philosophy, because there's a certain pain that you shouldn't be experiencing when you're exercising. So we want to, at this age, 40 and over, we definitely want movement that supports our body. And we also want nutrition that feeds our cells and not just fills our stomach. Sleep that actually restores you, and rest that is not earned but scheduled. You should not ever feel like you need to earn rest. For as long as I can remember, up until about 3 years ago, I used to take a nap every single day, every day. And I remember when one of my best friends moved back to Los Angeles during COVID, and she met some of my friends that she had never met because she had been away for so long. Everybody had a Flo falling asleep somewhere story. She had her own stories as well as pictures of me asleep in a club during her engagement party. But when I say my body, when it said I'm tired, I would give in and I would just go to sleep. And when I was a social worker, before my afternoon visits, I would stop at a park and lay my seat back in the car and take a nap. All right, I digress. But I want to be specific here. For women over 40, energy management is not the same as it was when you were 25. Your hormones are shifting. Your recovery time is longer. It's different. Your body needs different things. And if you're still trying to operate on that same plan you had in your 30s, that is part of why you're so tired. That's why we can't subscribe to those sayings like 50 is the new 30 or 60 is the new 40. That's BS. You need to embrace the age your body knows it is. It's not to say that you have to act old or accept certain things as being old, but your body has kept the record of all that you've been through. And no matter how good you look, because, we do look good, your body is constantly changing. No matter what work you might have done or want done, your body still knows how long it's been here and it keeps record of everything it's been through. So Energize means learning what your body actually needs right now, not 5 years ago, right now, and address it accordingly. All right, moving right along. Now to the letter. The V stands for value yourself. Now, I'm going to say this plainly. This is the one thing that a lot of women of color are secretly struggling with. Even some of the most accomplished women in the room. The imposter syndrome didn't come from out of nowhere. You can know your worth in the boardroom and still undervalue yourself in every other area of your life. You can fight for a seat at the table at work and still put yourself last at home. You can be the most disciplined athlete on your team and still talk to yourself in ways you would never allow anyone else to talk to you. Come on, somebody. My friend Tommy Ford's voice just came in my head with that. Rest in peace. Valuing yourself is not Self-Care Saturday, which you all know I'm a huge believer in Self-Care Saturday, and I always tell everybody how happy Self-Care Saturday. But it's not a bubble bath. It's a daily practice of making decisions that reflect that your health, your time, your energy, your peace, your mental health, your spiritual health, your financial health, all of it, and your body matter. Of course, I always use a rowing analogy because that's my primary sport, and I'm the black rowing queen. But think about the things a rower does with her equipment, or any athlete and their equipment. Okay. But as far as a rower, she rinses her oars, she checks her shoes, she protects her hand. She doesn't go on the water with a broken rigger and hope for the best. She maintains her equipment because she knows her performance depends on it. You are the equipment, and you have been neglecting maintenance. And now is the time for you to prioritize it. Valuing yourself looks like making and keeping doctor's appointments. If you're over 40, you need to start scheduling those tests that they say that you're supposed to be having, like your colonoscopy, your annual mammogram, and all of the things. It looks like saying no to the thing that drains you so you could say yes to the thing that restores you. I love that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. It looks like investing in your health before there's a crisis, before the doctor tells you you're pre-diabetic. before the doctor tells you you have high blood pressure. What would it look like if you treated yourself the way a serious athlete treats her body? Professional teams value the athlete's bodies, and I know you did when you were competing. Continue to treat yourself like the athlete that you are, because just because you are not playing sports anymore, you are playing the most important game ever, and that is the game of life. Now, moving on to A. A in this framework stands for activate. This is where we start moving. This is where we start moving, literally. Now, as you know, I'm a trainer and a rowing coach, so you know I believe in movement. And I say all the time and coin the phrase, the more you move, the longer you'll be able to move. But activate in this framework is bigger than just exercise. It's about turning intention into action across every area of your wellness. You can exhale, you can lead yourself, you can energize, you can value yourself. But if you never activate, if you never actually do the thing, none of it produces results. Now, in rowing, there's a part of the stroke called the drive. It's when the legs push, the core engages, the body swings open, the arms pull or guide the oar back to the body, and the blade moves through the water. When it comes to a race day, everything that happens in the warm-up, the practices, the race plan, it all comes down to the team drive as a unit. That is activation. Now, your drive may look like lying your clothes out at night and putting your shoes by the door. So when you don't feel like it, that drive comes from the habit you've created. It looks like choosing the salad and not the pint of ice cream. It looks like booking the appointment you have been putting off for 6 months or longer. It looks like showing up for yourself the way you show up for everybody else. Activate is the bridge between knowing the thing and doing the thing. And it's built one rep, one walk at a time, one meal, one decision at a time. You have to activate before you can get to the next step, and that is the T. And that T stands for transform. Transformation is not a moment. It's a process, and it does not look like what social media wants you to believe. I'll say that again. Transformation is a process, and it does not look like what social media wants you to believe. Real transformation is quiet. It happens when you realize that you have not had a headache in 3 weeks. It happens when you wake up without an alarm and you actually feel rested. When someone asks you, what have you been doing differently? And you have to think about it because it just became your life. In nature, I want you to think about the water cycle. Rain falls, it soaks into the ground, it feeds the roots, it moves through the river, it evaporates, becomes cloud, and then it rains again. And we get plenty of rain here in Dallas. But the water is never wasted. It just changes form. It becomes something new while remaining exactly what it always was. That is transformation. You are not becoming a different person necessarily. You are becoming the fullest version of who you have always been. That you that had been lost or hidden or forgotten about. And transformation happens in layers. You transform your habits, then your body responds, then your mindset shifts, then your relationships change, then your career opens up in ways you didn't expect, all because you started taking care of yourself. This is what I enjoy watching happen with women who commit to the process. And it's real, but it requires patience. It requires staying in the game, staying in the boat, even when the water gets choppy. It just looks different than you expected. We joke now and say in rowing instead of flat water rowing that we're used to. When the water gets choppy, we'll be like, oh, it's coastal rowing, which is really popular now. But it may be rough at times. But it will calm down and your body will start to feel homeostasis. Now for the last E in this framework. The final E stands for excel. I know it sounds a lot like exhale, but it's excel, which is EXCEL. excel. And I want to be clear about what excel means in this framework. It does not mean perfect. It does not mean better than everyone else. It means your best, your sustainable, your repeatable, your whole person best. Excellence is not a destination. It's a standard you set for yourself and return to every single day. We hear the term Black excellence all the time now. But excellence is a choice. It's a standard you set and you have to maintain. Excellence takes work. Excellence takes intentionality. In rowing, there's something called swing. Swing. It's the feeling when every person in the boat is moving together in perfect rhythm. The boat feels light. The water feels smooth. Everyone is working hard, but nothing feels forced. That's excellent. That's flow. Not because anyone is performing perfectly, but because everyone is committed to the same standard, the same rhythm, the same goal. Exhale is what happens when all 6 steps before it becomes a way of life. When you exhale regularly, when you decide to lead yourself with discipline and commitment, when you energize with intention, when you value yourself without apology, when you activate consistently, when you allow transformation to unfold. Excel is not the finish line, though. It's the way you row or roll. All right. Now, I want to talk directly to you right now, not in general, to you. If you are a high achieving woman of color who has spent the last decade pouring into everything and everyone else except yourself, this framework is for you. If you are a former athlete who misses the version of herself that was strong and disciplined and felt at home in her body, and misses the coaches and the coaching that was in place to take care of you and prioritize your body to perform at its peak performance, this framework is for you. If you are sitting in a corporate career that is draining the life out of you, and you are privately scared that you are aging the way you promised yourself you would not, this framework is for you. If you are 40 and over and you are just sick and tired of being sick and tired, this framework is for you. E.L.E.V.A.T.E is not a fitness plan. It is a life plan, and it works because it starts from the inside out. It starts with giving yourself permission to exhale, and it builds all the way down to excel, to a life that reflects who you really are. You did not work this hard to feel bad. You did not make all of those sacrifices you made to be too tired to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And I'm here to tell you, it does not have to stay that way. Before I close today, I want to tell you about something I built specifically for women like you. It's called the Elevated Woman Inner Circle. It lives on Patreon. It's the afterflow of the Elevated Flow podcast and the Elevated Flow Playbook. It's a private community where we go even deeper than what I shared here on the podcast today. I talk openly and candidly with previous guests, and every week inside the inner circle, I give you tools, workout, mindset work, journal prompt. And it's a community with women who are on the same path as you. Women who are done settling. Women who are building the kind of health and life that lasts. You can follow for free to start. Just come inside and see if it feels like home. Just click the link in the description below this video. All right, ladies. And that's it for the E.L.E.V.A.T.E framework. 7 letters, 1 system built for you. Now, here's what I want you to do right now. Before I close this episode, I want you to pick the 1 letter that hits you the hardest. Just one. The one that made you pause. The one that maybe made you a little uncomfortable. That's the one you need to start with. Now, I know it's a system, and I said one, it builds on the other. But take the first step. Start with one. And then what I want you to do is I want you to drop it in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're on Instagram, send me a DM. Tell me which letter is calling you. And if someone in your life needs to hear this today, share this episode with her. Text it to her right now. Trust me, she'll thank you for it later. We're going to go deep on each letter of the elevated framework in future Playbook episodes, starting with the breathe framework that lives inside the first E, which is exhale. You don't want to miss that one. So subscribe so you don't miss it. Remember, new episodes of the Elevated Flow podcast drop every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Until next time, this is Coach Flo signing off. Remember to find your zone and elevate your flow. Peace.
1,